Hello, everyone. We are live?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So how many now attendees we have?
$63 as of last minute.
Okay. We will start now. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our important and timely webinar. I am Munkid Dagir, the founder of the Al Mustaqilla Research Group, also the West Asia and North Africa chapter president in Waipur, also the MENA region president in Gallup International. I'm pleased to be with you today in this very important webinar to discuss what's going on right now in Iran. 23 years ago, in the same month, I was like my guest here today, searching for any reliable information about the aerial US bombing campaign against my country.
If you just quickly allow me to tell everyone that there is an interpretation in Arabic. So if they go بس هحكيها بالعربي. اكو ترجمة للجميع. إذا دستوا من المنيو جوا اختاريتوا interpretation راح تقدرون تختارون اللغة العربية وأكو ترجمة فورية الآن باللغة العربية. شكرا لكم. Sorry again.
Yeah, and there is also a recording on, I think we will have a video recording that we can circulate, and we are also now streaming directly live and on the
We're on YouTube, yes.
On YouTube. Okay. So at that time, 23 years ago, the same month, I was sitting in my house trying to understand what's going on around me with the US aerial campaign against Iraq at that time. Info was so scarce, and there is a wide discrepancy between what the regime at that time, regime media is saying, and what others are saying about the war. Today, we gather at a profoundly challenging moment in the history of the MENA region and the world. The ongoing war, marked by direct strikes, significant casualties, and widespread regional chaos. Current war built upon earlier escalation, including 12 days war in June 2025, and have raised urgent questions about security, sovereignty, deterrence, and human cost. In Iran, as in any other nation under such pressure, public perceptions and views are shaped by a complex mix of national pride, historical grievances, lived experience of sanctions, concern for civilian lives, and aspiration for peace and stability. Today, we have the rare and valuable opportunity to hear directly from a respected academic voice inside Iran. Our guest is Dr. Sayyid Imamian, who is assistant professor in Polytechnic Tehran University. Also, Dr. Sayed has a PhD in public policy from Edinburgh University. And he is with us right now from Iran, from Tehran directly. I will moderate a session of dialogue and discussion with him for around 30 to 40 minutes, asking him several questions about the current situation in Iran. And then I will open the ground for a Q&A session. So thank you, Dr. Sayed, for this important opportunity, and hopefully that you feel you are good and your family are safe within the current situation right now in Iran.
Yeah, Dr. Dagar, thank you very much for inviting me here. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you. Yes, I'm based in Tehran now. My home my flat is very much close to the Sharif University of Technology in the west part of the Tehran. So we have witnessed several bombardments around our neighborhood during the last 3 days. But anyway, it's my pleasure to be with you and happy to go ahead with your questions and comments and with your great moderation.
Thank you, and really appreciate this opportunity despite the current situation right now in Iran. So let us start with the daily life currently in Iran. Of course, we have planned to do this session before the war, and when the war took place, I contacted Dr. Sayed to ask him whether it is still possible to do or to run this webinar, and I astonished with the fact that we still can do it. And we had some fear about the connectivity and the internet. So tell us about the current life, daily life right now in Iran. And there are a lot of news about people are leaving Tehran right now. Daily life is horrible. There are a lot of difficulties. Tell us about the current situation right now in Tehran.
Yeah, actually, in Iran, we never had experience. We never had such experience for several decades. Exactly since 1989, that the war between Iran and the Saddam regime in Iraq was finished. We never had such experience. But last June was the first time after more than 3 decades that Iranian experienced a wartime lifestyle. In 12 days war that was imposed on Iran unprovokedly by Israelis and then joined by Americans, created such a experience for Iranians that this time is not too surprising or too shocking for Iranians. Since the first day that the strike started in Saturday morning, exactly most of the people, normal, usual families, they prefer to leave Tehran because Tehran is very big multipolitan city with more than 10 to 12 million people are coming. Is different between days and nights. So there was a request by the National Security Council to the people that if you can, please leave Tehran to be safe and to be less affected by the aggression, the Israeli and American aggressions. So we had a kind of the gradual leaving of the Tehran in Saturday and Sunday. Now Tehran is not as busy as was as you in normal days. We have experienced bombardments in last 3 days in different areas in Tehran, including residual areas. You may have heard, it was very shocking for us. In the first day, we had a strike on a very a small girl school in southern part of the Iran with more than 150 casualties. It was a genocide. It was remembering us what happened in last few days, a few years in genocidal operation that Zionist regime Israelis operated in Gaza. So it was a reminder for us that we are fighting and we are in war with a genocidal regime.
Okay.
So it's not something bad for them. At the end of the day, now in Tehran, life is going as normal to some extent. Of course, because
Are
the
people
street.
going to their works? Are people are going to their works, shops, daily life? Tell us about. Is it normal or how it is?
Is like holidays. Is not as normal as busy days. That means that the universities and schools are closed since the first day of the war. A proportion, maybe a large proportion of the families, normal families, they have already left Tehran, but still we have shoppings, we have commutings, we have communications, we have, you know, that in Islamic countries we have Ramadan, iftars, and mosques are full of audiences and prayers. So prayers is going on. So it's half, I would say, is as holidays, not as normal working days.
Okay.
If I'm going to compare it.
Based on your observations, how does the Iranian public perceive the current conflict? And what was the reaction toward the first airstrikes, especially after hearing the losses of Ayatollah Khamenei and other leaders in Iran? So tell me about the public perception and the first day and now. How is it? Does it change, or let me know how it was affected by the news of the war?
Let me go back to the last June. Actually, last June, when the strike started by Israelis, if we compare the June 13th, the first day of the strike, and June 25th, the last day of the strike, it was a huge, sharp increase in, generally speaking, social any characteristics of social capital in Iran. Based on most of the surveys, there was a huge increase in patriotism, social cohesion, very sharp decrease in separationist views, and I was presented several surveys and studies by my colleagues in different universities and institutions, comparing the social implication of the last war on Iran. So after the war, there was much more cohesive, much more integrated society. And the rally around the flags phenomenon was very much clearly observed in Iran. Since then, we had a lot of challenges. The most important challenges happened in January 8th. And the kind of the peaceful demonstration that turned to a very violent evening, suddenly and shockingly, with the intervention of different actors. And we, based on the, again, observations and some studies, and something that was said publicly by American policymakers and Israelis influencers and policymakers. There was some infiltration by someone that we could call them sleeping cells, Mossad sleeping cells, that Mike Pompeo called them Mossad agents inside Iran. So suddenly the peaceful demonstration changed to a very, very violative conflict in one evening in January 8th, and led to more than 3,000 deaths based on the official announcements, and there was some other speculations by foreigners and particularly by opposition on more casualties. So what happened in January 8th has created a lot of division amongst the society. We moved from a very cohesive, integrated society in June 25th to a to some extent, polarized and politically controversial society in after January 8th evening. Something that happened on that evening, and we call it September 11th of the Iranian security establishment, because it was very shocking, very surprising for them. Since then, we had a lot of we came back very quickly. We came back to the normal life after that, but behind the scenes of the society, we had a lot of controversies, a lot of disagreements among political issues. Once in last Saturday, the strike started and Iran was attacked by Israelis and Americans, and particularly by the assassination of the Iranian leadership. It created, to some extent, a very contradictory sense inside the society. The supreme leader, personally, was someone very important in more than last 3 decades of the Iranian political history. He had a lot of supporters. Based on most of the studies that we had, at least until before the January 8th, there was large population of the Iranians. Always they were supporting him, and his support was increased very much after the war in last June. At the same time, he had a proportion of the society that they disagreed him.
Dr. Sayed, do you have some numbers about the popularity of the supreme leader according to your surveys, or do you have some numbers?
Yeah, actually, I had some numbers, if I'm not mistaken, in post, but I'm not pretty sure right now. And I could send you the exact numbers afterwards in some surveys. Roughly around between 7% of the society were supporting his very important role in reviving the Iranian military after the first shocks that Iran experienced in last June. So he was the one that he came to the TV and he said that we are going to retaliate and we are not going to give up. So he was seen as a savior of the Iranian national sovereignty and territorial integrity in last June. So his popularity
and the same popularity remain even after the recent protests in January.
After the recent protest, I never seen any still valid survey, because when I asked my colleagues why you are not conducting a survey right now, they said that still, based on our methodological validity, it's not a good time for having a survey, because still the society was very much affected by the events, and there was not a normal time for conducting a survey. So I never had. Maybe they had someone, but I could imagine that there was some more disagreement with him after the January 8th. But at the end of the day, when he was assassinated in Saturday, we had a contradictory feeling within the society. Of course, a large proportion of the society still are, even amongst those that they are politically not totally agree with him, or sometimes very much disagreeing him. They were respecting his role as a spiritual leader, as someone that was very much a patriot in terms of keeping Iranian national sovereignty and territorial integrity safe and alive. In just in Sunday morning, that it was publicly announced that he has been assassinated, there was a very grassroots gatherings in 6:30 a.m. in most of the cities in Iran. Just after suhoor, I went to the one of the main squares in Tehran, and I found about a very diversified group of people, even some women without hijab, very modernized, that they were crying hardly.
But at the same time,
But
Doctor,
at the same
there
time,
was
yeah, at the
there
same
was
time,
news. There was
yeah, at
news
the
media coverage on the opposite side.
yeah, at the same time, we had once Donald Trump announced that we had some occasions of people, they were celebrating his assassination. But at the end of the day, since the first day that it was publicly announced, I never seen such a sign in Iranian states. Maybe because of the war, maybe because the mourning, the feeling of the mourning is much more predominantly occupied the whole society than someone to have such a space to celebrate publicly about that. But yes, still we are living in a society that is not a unified society. So we have two different attitudes, but I would say I don't have numbers right now, particularly since the first day of the war, but it's very clear that the
But
cities now is
what?
occupied by the supporters.
So, do you think that the majority of the Iranian public sentiments, public perceptions are with and pro the current regime still? The current regime enjoying the same support that it has before the airstrikes or before the war?
I would say, based on the previous experience, any attempt of the war or aggression against the country will lead to an increase of the supporters of the political system. Because they are going to move beyond the political disagreements, because sometimes they are thinking of the war and the wartime as the threat to national security. And particularly once the part of the aggressor and the invader is Israel, is not at all. It's very much predominantly hated by the Iranian. Most of the surveys shows us that Israel and particularly Benjamin Netanyahu is the most hated in most of the Islamic countries, of course, in the region and in Iran. I would say that the war would have increased the support for the political system, because the alternative is the demilitarization, is very much likely to have a civil war, and it's very much has been announced naively by some policymakers in Israel and in US, that it would be a separationist movement and violation across the country, may lead to a dividing of the Iran. And so someone says that this is not the matter of the national security. That's the matter of the keeping Iranian identity alive.
Okay.
Otherwise, we won't have any identity like Iran anymore. So that's the perception, the very, very common perception. It's very much beyond the normal, unusual political disagreement and categorization of the society.
But as a political scientist, have you noticed any signs of cracks in the regime, in the structure of the regime, as a result of the assassination of these 48 leaders? Is there any sign of a weakness of the regime after that, from your point of view as a political scientist?
We had experienced such kind of the friction amongst the society, as I said, particularly post January 8th. But amongst the public departments, military and security establishment, we never seen or we never heard any kind of the frictions because, as you know, the Iranian governance is, we call it, I have written some book chapters about it, the very, very sophisticated multi-level governance system. The system as a whole has a lot of resilience. Last war was started by the assassination of the very important person amongst the military ranking, the high-ranking military officers and commanders. But after 10 hours, the retaliation operation started. This time, it was even worse, started by the assassination of the supreme leader, the highest ranking political figure in Iran, political and religious figure in Iran. But I think we had just 1 or 2 hours that retaliation started. We didn't have such kind of the frictions amongst the society, even amongst those part of the political landscape that they have been very much in opposition side for last few years amongst reformists, amongst ex-president, for example, President Ahmadinejad, President Rouhani, all of them, they have announced a statement with a lot of sympathy and condolences, and they have said that now is the time of the war. So once we are in the war, we need to come united to each other.
But there are also some media reports about, and actually yesterday we had this call between Trump and Barzani and Talabani in Iraq, and it was very clear that there was some push for Kurdish uprising in Iran. Can you see any chances that ethnic uprisings could happen, and this may tear up Iran apart?
Of course, there is a risk, and it's a security risk. I think I won't see that as a political risk because such kind of I'm not calling it uprising. Something that we have been hearing and we have seen in some reports, there has been a kind of the preparation amongst some groups that we call them based on the activities, terrorist groups in north west of Iran and southeast of the Iran. Those that they have been based inside the Pakistani borders in southeast and the Kurdish borders in Kurdistan borders in north of the Iraq. There has been a long time preparation amongst them, has been observed and has been monitored by security departments. And we have seen several reports that they are looking for an opportunity to get in the Iranian borders, a kind of a proxy to the, for example, American and Israeli troops on the ground. So if it happens, it would be kind of the terrorist group infiltration inside the country. It's not a homegrown grassroots uprising, at least until now. We never seen such a sign of that. Maybe they are trying to have some kind of the supporters or sleeping cells joining them once they are getting inside the society, if possible for them, if happens. And that time we would have some internal Iranian groups to join them. But at the moment, there is a lot of preparation outside the Iranian borders, very much funded, trained, and supported, as you mentioned, even politically, very publicly by Trump and Israelis for a long time.
Okay, but do you see that these armed groups will have some kind of support from the minorities in Iran, non-Persian Iranis, Kurdish, Sunnis, Arabs, etc.? Do you see such probability?
Yeah, you know that a country as big and as diversified as Iran, ethnically, culturally, linguistically, always there are some gaps within the society and categorization within the society. We have experienced some separationist groups in early years of the post-revolutionary years, and you may have heard or have studied some pan-Arabist movements in the south west of the Iran, some Turkmenist separationist terrorist groups in the northern east northern part of the Iran, Baluch, Kurds, and we have had some kind of the very violent conflicts in early years. And we always in Iran, security establishments have been very much monitoring these kind of the groups because they have been always funded by the foreigners. The most important event happened in the last days of the war, the Saddam's war on Iran. If you remember, just once the agreement signed, and it was some kind of a common perception that the war ended, there was infiltration against from the west of the Iran by the MEK group that supported by Saddam. They came inside the Iran, and if you remember, they had such kind of a perception. Once they are coming inside Iran, after 8 years of the war, society has been weakened. Society has been very much affected by the war. They are tired of the war. They are tired of the political system. So they will join us. And there was a very famous sentence by Rajavi that we are going to go directly towards Tehran. And we will have our meeting next few days in Tehran. I am originally from the west part of the Iran. They came very much close to my city. And there was a kind of the public announcement that to whole Iran. And I remember at the time, Ayatollah Khamenei was the president. And he was the one that announced that I'm going to be in the front line. Anyone who wants to defend the territorial integrity of the society, come with me. And it was one of the very historical moments that he went to the front line, and huge number of the people joined the military defenders of the Iranian of the borders. So they stopped them very close to the Kermanshah. And then there was a huge defeat for MEK at the time. It was a few days after the agreement between Iran and Iraq by the mediation of the UN at the time was signed. So we had experienced, it was the most important experience of infiltration of the terrorist separationist group inside the society by the perception that society will join us and they will welcome us. So it was a huge historical defeat for MEK at the time, and it was the most important such kind of the operation that we had experienced in
Okay.
last few decades.
So you don't think that you think that the current regime in Tehran is still enjoying a good support from different minorities in Iran? Am I
Uh,
correct?
I think it's much more complex than such a simple answer.
Mm.
Of course, current political system, if you call it a unified political system, so we have different political groups amongst them. They have their own supporters. Sometimes Ahmadinejad has a lot of wide support. Sometimes Rouhani has support amongst the reformists, Khatami, others, Pezeshkian. So generally speaking, there are some supports for the political groups or political figures amongst the political landscape, Iranian political landscape. But we have a group of Iranians that they are not necessarily support any figures or any political group amongst the landscape, but they are supporting the political stability of the country as the most important thing for keeping national security and guaranteeing national security, protecting national security, and also preserving Iranian, as I said, territorial integrity and sovereignty. So it's quite different. It's not it's very simplified or unified attitude towards the current political system, but just we need to be aware of the perception about our enemy or the aggressor. If we are thinking of Israel, most of the Iranians, based on the surveys, as I said, has been done in post at least war, 12 days war in June. Most of them are thinking, not only Iranians, you are expert of the field. Even in the region, they are thinking of Israel as the source of insecurity, and they are thinking of Israel's new strategy, post October 7th strategy, as they have been calling Girider Israel. That means Israel is looking for very much political, geopolitical, and military hegemony over the whole region, means is going to occupy the large proportion of the Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon. And so it's kind of the expansionism and genocidal nature of the Israelis has created a lot of concern for everyone in the region, including Iranians, that the enemy is not going to please you. The enemy once comes to your country, it would be something very different. Particularly what happened to the post-Assad Syria was very concerning for Iranians because they witnessed a very important moment. Once the Assad left Syria, and there was a very much a group came to power that they won't be they were very much against any violation against Israel. Israel started to demilitarize the whole country, occupy the large proportion of the southern part of the Syria, and to fuel a kind of the division amongst the society, and to some extent there is no such a unified Syria anymore. So it was very concerning for the Iranians that what we are seeing is not a normal political shift or grassroots revolution or anything we call it. It's a kind of the occupation by a very expansionist or eliminationist power that is looking to full hegemony over the region and dividing any geopolitical power or counterpower in the region, including Iran. So it's a matter of national security and matter of territorial integrity.
Okay.
So it's not, I'm not saying that everyone is supporting the political system. They are supporting the best or the least worst alternative for someone are very much a believer of and very much deep supporter of the political system are amongst them, of course, but not all.
Okay. So I have 5 to 7 minutes left before giving the ground to or the floor to the Q&A, and I have many questions yet. let me, since you mentioned about the political system and the political system landscape right now in Iran, it's known that Iran is not one block in its political system. We have the revolutionary Iran, and we have the state of Iran, or let us say the hawks and the peaceful people, or those who are with the state against the. So right now, what do you think? Who will win this struggle over authority in Iran after the war? Is there a revolutionary wing is weakened or stronger right now?
Actually, it's still not clear for me the distinction that you created or you mentioned. If you are talking about the very diversified groups that they are very much still in support of the country as a unified country in a war, to resist against the foreign invasion, to resist against any strike on the country. So they are very diversified. Of course, they are very revolutionary, extremely revolutionary. They are very technocrat, even liberals amongst them. But we have another group that they are very much, they are not, of course, inside the country, they are not dominant, but they are the one that they are very much close to opposition. Opposition, that means someone against the whole political establishment. So they may even, a minority of them even may prefer a foreign invasion as an alternative to current political establishment. So if you are comparing these two groups together, there would be a different answer than if you are talking about the very diversified groups that they are overall are supporting the political stability of the society and the resisting against the foreign invasions. Which one do you mean?
I mean, right now, the Revolutionary Guards will be more or will have an upper hand over the state of Iran, the institution of the state. اطلاعات versus IRG. Who will win this struggle over authority? It's known that there are this, or there is such a struggle over authority.
Actually, it's difficult to answer a very simple, I think, answer to this question. It's much more complicated. Once IRGC is in fight, in front line against the foreign enemy, everyone is thinking about IRGC as a hero, as a savior of the society, of the country, and as someone that is very courage in protecting Iranian dignity and national sovereignty. Once you are thinking of some parts of IRGC that they are going to be much more involved in, for example, economic or political administration, there is a lot of disagreements amongst the society with regards to the IRGC's role in that regard. Even amongst the IRGCs, there are differences. Someone says that IRGC should be very much focused on defending the country's national security of the country. Someone says that no, some groups like IRGC that are very important could be much more involved in other aspects of the society. So this is always a disagreement in the second part. I think what may happen after the wars very much depends on the result of the war. And also, you know that we are in
what
the
do you
period
think
of the
the result
leadership.
of the war? What do you
Pardon?
think? And what do you think that the result of the war will be?
It's not wise for me to predict because it's very challenging and very fast changing. But at the same time, I think it's very existential for Iranian national security. And as I said, not only national security, even territorial integrity. So I'm sure that Iranian will fight until the end because there is no other way. There is no other way. And the common sense is that if we are not going to be secure in the region, no one will be secure here. So it's very existential a war for Iran, for everyone, and it's common sense, as I said.
And do you see any chance for negotiation with the US again?
Of course, any war will end with a diplomatic negotiation or diplomatic agreement at the end of the day. But it's very, to some extent, at the moment, is very humiliative if anyone talks about negotiation with US after two times of a strike against a country within the negotiation. It's betrayal to the diplomacy, and there is very deep distrust against any kind of meaningful negotiation with at least Trump's team. So I think it's common. It's not for Iranian. Everyone is thinking about. Even I was saying something that Al Busidi, the foreign minister of the Oman, was saying that he was dismayed by what happened for the second time. And so I think Trump has created a very international chaos, not only amongst within the U.S. political landscape. I was talking with our colleagues from Geneva in last few weeks. He was coming directly from DC. He told me that in my view, as someone that has been professionally mediator for several decades working with DC, this quite complete chaos in White House with very individualized decision-making system. And you know that the Trump has been very much fundamentally against any kind of the international law. So we are living in such a chaotic, very challenging period of time. So we don't have such a traditional meaning comes out of some words like diplomacy, negotiation, international law, something like that. Yeah, that's the chaotic time that we are living in. But at the end of the day, the exit plan for the war comes out of some kind of the agreements that happens.
Okay. Since you talked about the foreign minister of Oman, it was a surprise for many of your friends in the region, like Oman, Qatar, and to be attacked by Iran. And I know that you are or the Iranian official position that they are not attacking these countries, they are attacking the US bases, but at the end, Dubai airport, Qatar airport, the Oman port, these are not US bases. So some analysts say that this was a strategic mistake by the Iranian to attack and to spread the war, and also about Hormuz Strait. So these two things, two strategic mistakes, now will make more or will bring more international community to come against Iran and to ally against Iran. What do you think?
Actually, it was a very challenging period of time for me personally, because I have been personally in touch with colleagues across the in the southern part of the Persian Gulf with Qatari colleagues, Omani colleagues, and from other countries also. So I have been very much pressurized by both sides. I have been trying to convey some messages, of course, informally as a kind of the track to messaging amongst them. There are two things. First of all, Iran has denied to attack any part of the national territory of any of those countries, including particularly Qatar and Oman, as two very brotherly countries to Iran. So some few examples of attack that happened in civilized non-US bases, I think two in Oman and a few in Qatar, have been publicly by Iranians that it was not us that we attacked them. But Iran has been very clear that we are going to attack any bases, any foreign bases that has been used to attack us. So last 2 weeks, I was invited again by colleagues in Doha just a few days before war. And there was a huge discussion with very high-ranking Qatari officials about what happened in last war to Al Udeid. So they were talking, yes, Al Udeid is part of our territory, and Iranians were talking that no, Al Udeid was the enemy, the basis for enemy. So the Qataris was saying that yes, we accept your rationale, but at the end of the day, we need to have some kind of the political justification for our society. So Iranians were very clear that there is no choice for us. This is not our favorable choice to attack any part of your territory, even some part of your territory that has been given up to foreigners, to our enemy that is in war with us. But at the same time, it's an inevitable territory operation. We don't have any other option than retaliate the attacks or strikes on our society, on our territory, in any means that is available for us. And so, with brotherly countries, particularly as you mentioned, particularly Qatar and Oman, there has been a lot of connections, even with Saudi Arabia, a lot of communication between Iranian authorities and them. Even today, I heard that there was a very high-ranking communication interaction between Iranians and Saudis to have a kind of the mutual understanding of the severity and the complexity of the situation. But at the same time, Iran has been very clear that this war, since the first minute after the last war, that the next war would be regional war. That means we are going to attack the whole parts of the region, anywhere that there would be an interest of our enemies. So, for example, in terms of the UAE, you know that in last few months there was a lot of report that the headquarters, some buildings, specific buildings in Abu Dhabi particularly, has been the mutual or joint headquarters by Israelis, hosted by UAE, just to plan not only intelligence gathering, to plan separationist terrorist groups and to militarize them inside Iran. There was huge reports came to us, not only to security departments, even to some analysts like me. I have heard a lot of evidence and I have seen several reports by colleagues from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar, from Oman, that Abu Dhabi has created headquarters that is very much dedicated to create chaos amongst the Iranian society and to prepare for civil war in Iran. So with such kind of the reports and intelligence gathering that happened, I have heard that Iranian authorities already have announced them, that this is a list of the companies that they have registered, for example, in Abu Dhabi or Dubai. But they are Israeli companies, they are plotting against us. So if you are going to keep your territory safe, you need to find a solution for that. Otherwise, if any war happens, we will hit all of them. Not only the bases, even those institutions or secret institutions amongst within your urban spaces and within your cities, that they are plotting against us. So it's not our choice; it's an inevitable retaliatory response.
Doctor, I think I don't have much time. I will ask you last question with 1 minute for you to answer it, so we can open the. I know that there are a lot of questions for you, so I will finish with the media influence. In what ways do state-controlled media shape public opinion about the war? We know that the media is controlled by the regime in Iran. How it is shaping the public opinion. Yesterday there was a big airstrike on the Iranian TV building. So media will play a very vital role. Do you feel that the state is still controlling in a good way the media? And then I will, after you answer this question, I will leave it for Arwa and Ran to choose the questions from the list of questions to ask you, and maybe we will also have some a couple of direct questions for you. So please, Doctor, about the media.
Actually, you know that media studies is part of my expertise. We no longer live in any society that the media as a whole is controlled by the government. With digitalized media and with proliferation of the social networks, there won't be any possibility for any government or a state to control media anymore. So Iran is not an exception. We have had a huge number of the millions of the Iranians that they are using social networks, not only Iranian social networks, international social networks, and you know that there have been always very huge, well-funded opposition-based TV channels that have been very much supported by Mossad, mainly by Israelis, and funded by them and by some opposition groups that they have been very much popularized inside the society. So Iranian society has been diversified in terms of the media landscape. Not only with regards to the domestic TV channels, yes, domestic TV channels are still owned by the Iranian state. But we have a lot of TV channels digitalized or have been broadcasted by satellite and are accessible inside Iran. So they're no longer controlling the media landscape is possible for any government, including Iranian government.
Okay. Arwa, Rand, thank you, Doctor. I will come back to you maybe for more questions later on, but I will open the floor for the Q&A. Arwa and Rand?
Yes, yes, thank you very much, Dr. Imamian. So allow me, some questions are very long, so I'll try just to summarize as much as possible from the questions. The first question that we have from Colin, Erwin, they talk about the Arab Barometer recently ran a regional poll for the support of the two-state solution. So in summary, his question to you, do you think the people of Iran would also support such an agreement that guarantees security for both, like for all countries, as part of a regional grand bargain? This two-state solution.
Dr. Dagar, do you expect me to answer now, or you are going to have some more questions and then I need to answer?
I think we can answer one by one, right?
Okay. With regards to two-state solution, there is one official statement that Iranian political stance has been always in support of the one-state solution based on the referendum and the democratic election or referendum, or anything that comes out of that democratic referendum would be acceptable by anyone, including Iran. But at the same time, even publicly, even officially, Iran has been always in support of anything that Palestinians are in support of that. You have seen several times that Iran has voted in UN, for example, to some resolutions that they are based on two-state solutions idea, but Iran has voted for that. And sometimes I have asked some Iranian diplomats that it's against your public or official stance. They are saying that yes, we have our stance, but at the same time, we always respect the right of the Palestinians. If Palestine is going to vote for anything, we are going to vote for that. But intellectually, I'm out of the official stance or official departments. Iranians as a whole are, like most of the countries in the region and the societies in the region, they are in support of the Palestinian rights. There is always a kind of a discussion whether or not supporting two-state solutions is much more in favor of the Palestinian rights, or supporting one-state solution and to support political stance. So it has been a controversy, a kind of the discussion amongst the societies, amongst the supporters of the Palestinian right in general, but they have a technical discussion. Which one is much more doable, feasible, and accessible solution for the Palestinians? But you know that at the moment, even those that they have been always supporting two-state solutions, even Norwegian foreign minister, if you ask him, I have asked some Norwegian diplomats behind the scene, even though them are not any more hopeful of the possibility of two-state solution. But at the end of the day, if you ask Iranian, generally, I would say that the majority are talking about anything that Palestinians prefer. We don't have any our stance. Of course, there is a political stance, but I'm saying about my perception of the political public mood that is in support of anything that Palestinians are more satisfied with. So we are not going to be more Palestinian than Palestinian themselves.
Okay.
Okay.
As an administrative comment, because of the limitation of the time, so please, people who wants to ask any question, write your questions. There will not be a chance for a direct discussion with the guest. And Arwa and Rand, please try to
Yes.
to ask more than one question and leave it for Dr.
Okay.
Saeed to answer it as quick as possible. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll have a couple of them, and then we can have a pause. So a question from an anonymous attendee. I will just write say the question. Why do you think the Iranian government would shut down the internet when people need information and communication the most? And then we have a question from Mr. Samir Abu Rumman.
Yes.
Samir Abu Rumman, do you because you mentioned the surveys, so he's asking, as opinion pollster, how comfortable and secure respondents feel when answering specific questions, particularly on those legitimacy and satisfaction with leadership in Iran, and regarding the trust in the government, are there any empirical figures that reflect Iranian public opinion? And then we have another question from Ms. Palma, or Mr. Palma. Do you have some idea about the women's opinion versus men opinion right now after the assassination of Supreme Leader? So should we stop, or should I continue reading?
Yes. That's it. And then let the guest answer, and then we will have a couple more questions.
Yeah, just for my sorry, I never noted because I was thinking of having one by one question. The first one was about?
The first one was about the internet shutdown. Why would the internet be shut down?
Yeah, got it. Actually, with regards to the digital policy making, and particularly some digital blackouts that is happening during some challenging period of time during the war or during some internal conflicts, I think it's very technically controversial. There are some rationale behind that, particularly with regards to cybersecurity. If you remember, we have had always a very huge hacking operation from outside the country against the Iranian public services. So during the war, it was part of the Israelis' strategy to have a cyber attack to civil, very much civil services inside Iran. In last war, we had, I remember, one of the biggest, more important cryptocurrency companies that had billions of the Iranians pockets, wallet pockets there, has been hacked by Israelis. So there was huge challenge created at the time. So the rationale for keeping cybersecurity, particularly during the war, is very, very important, rational and acceptable one. But at the same time, sometimes they are thinking of some specific international platforms that they are not going to be responsible or accountable to Iranian authorities. You know that the transnational platforms are accountable to big powers, to the European Union as a whole. I have been involved in the digital policy making studies. I have been very much invited to several European level policy making gatherings, and I know about the details of the digital policy making. So Europeans have been very much trying a lot to keep American-based platforms accountable and compliant to the European rules. But there is no such a compliance inside Iran. So some Iranian authorities are saying that we have gathered a lot of evidences of terrorist violence, even some military, for example, training or education amongst some specific platforms. So this is a matter of national security. But at the end of the day, it's always a trade-off between freedom of expression and freedom of access to the social networks, and at the same time, and digital platforms, and at the same time, some matter of the national security and digital sovereignty is questioned everywhere, including Iran. And sometimes in Iran, we have had a lot of criticism of the policies of the government in specific periods of time. With regards to the role of the woman, I don't have any specific statistics since the early day of the war, but even in post January 8th, we had a kind of the statistics come out of the composition of the demonstrators during January 8th and January 9th. And we found that it was very much men dominant riots or unrest, completely different from what we experienced in 2022. That was very much female-based kind of the social unrest. So that time was very much men-oriented and men-dominated, and it was quite different. But with regard to the support to the political system, I have heard, based on the previous surveys, that generally speaking, amongst the supporters of the political system, by different meanings, as I said, there has different kinds of the supporters of the political system. Women has still the large proportion.
Okay. So the question of our colleague Samer Oberman about the surveys, because this question also from me, we want to know how surveys are working in Iran currently with such control by the security forces. Are people feel free to talk and answer questions, especially when it comes to sensitive questions? Can we do some surveys, as we are the biggest and the most important organization of public opinion surveys in the world?
Yeah. In Iran, we have several institutions that they are very much well reputed and by the accuracy of their survey. And you know that the most important test for accuracy is during the elections. So we have always a competition amongst a few very, very professional institutions that they are commissioned by different institutions, different departments to conduct surveys. They are survey making very professional institutions. They have different methods, as far as I know. Some of them are mixed. They are using mixed methods of gathering how gathering the public opinions by being in physical spaces, being or gathering online or gathering by phone. Different methods and different validity rates. At the same time, there are a lot of technical complexities. Of course, in some questions, there are sometimes, for example, me an academic or based on my institution, because you know that I'm running a think tank also. I have founded a think tank, governance and policy think tank. We have asked a survey institution to, for example, ask such a question on behalf of us. They are rejecting because they are saying that this question would be very sensitive, and most of our respondents, based on our experience, they won't like to answer directly to that question. So there are a lot of technicalities about how to frame the question, which kind of the question would be more
Doctor,
sensitive, which are not.
Doctor, is it technicalities or state restrictions, security restrictions on surveys in Iran?
For those very well reputed and official institutions, I won't see any restriction for them, because sometimes they have been commissioned to have some surveys for example, high-ranking security departments. They have been commissioned to ask those very sensitive questions by the security department. So they are very much, they know about the mood of the society, because they have some open-handed, sometimes very green light to ask any question that they want, because of they have different clients.
These are official entities or
So one of them, for example,
profit.
we have a few. One is very much affiliated with Tehran University, is very much for several decades is working. Another is affiliated with very important institution called Jahad Daneshgahi, is ISPA, is very important, has been very much well reputed throughout the several decades, particularly during the elections, have been very clear and very accurate. And also we have another one affiliated with Imam Sadiq University that is very much a university very much close to the political establishment. So they have
no private.
they have their own
private.
official affiliation that they have a lot of support from the official departments to conduct the surveys.
All right, Arwa, Rand.
Sorry, yes. I'll go to the chat because there are a lot of questions there. One one is just disagreeing that you mentioned that surveys become irrelevant in moments of crisis. I would respectfully disagree with this assessment that we need actually surveys in such timings in order to resemble the public. One a question from Molly. As people from outside Iran, how can we what information and public opinion, if any, can we trust to give any information about current events? That seeing you from inside Iran is such a valuable and rare thing. How can we get more information from inside Iran? On media or something from inside Iran, because it's such a valuable thing to have someone from inside Iran talking to the public. And I would also be interested, another question from Elena, I would also be interested in your personal assessment of how many Iranians privately hope for regime change. Do you think those two attitudes can coexist while still condemning Israeli-American intervention, still hoping for a change? So these are the three. Should we stop or should I continue?
Yeah, but stop. Let Dr. Said answer it.
For the first comments, I need to clarify my maybe misunderstanding that I caused. Yes, You are totally right. There would be some technical methods that we can use, or the survey institutions could use to have validate more valid results out of the event crisis period of time. But there was some kind of the maybe technical limitations or some pretext for some institutions that I have asked them about what is going on after January 8th, and they have replied to me that on our methods, we need to have much more stable political period of time to have our surveys done. But I won't be satisfied by these. I'm thinking that there would be some technical solutions for that, but I'm not expert of the surveying. It's the expertise of the Dr. Dagher. With regards to the last question about whether or not, even amongst the supporters of the national sovereignty and amongst those that they are very much against any foreign intervention or invasion to the country, are thinking about the change, I would say yes and no. Depends on how do you define the change. Of course, change in a more competent, more accountable, more transparent governance system is the hope for everyone. But if you are thinking of having a change in very fundamental way, that means very close to what opposition are doing right now. It would be a very different proportion of the society that may prefer them. So I think it's the matter of the trade-off always. Yes, we have some disagreements, we have some challenges, we have some unsatisfactory attitude towards the current political establishment, but at the same time, what is the alternative? It's impossible to have everything to be excellent or perfect for any country. People are thinking rationally. They are thinking about what is the alternative. So, as I said, it's quite difficult for me to have a very simplified answer to this question. My answer is yes and no. But there was a question between two questions. Just if you remind me one sentence, and I
Yes,
could.
and actually, I think it was to Dr. Munqidh, and they were like thanking him for having you because it's such a valuable thing, and asking if like what information and public opinion, if any, can we trust to give a read on information about the current events? How can you, like, for people outside of Iran, how can we give them more information about what's happening in a reliable way? Such an important meeting that we had.
Well, I think Molly asked this question, and it's very difficult now to have or to rely on one source of information. There is a very clear and very sharp polarization media state that people or the it's Iranian narrative against the U.S.-Israeli narrative. So there are a very polarized point of view. I think we need to have more than one source of information. Maybe I will. I'm trying maybe with the Dr. Sayed as one of the reliable sources of information. Maybe we will talk about this later on to find out. I'm sure that the entire world, as someone who lived in Iraq under similar situation, I'm sure that it's important for the world to understand how the people, how Iranians really think about the current situation. Maybe this is something that I and Dr. Sayed will discuss later. Yeah.
Yes, I will continue from Norberto. Do Iranians rely on China helping Iran in this war? And then we have a question. Do you see a post-crisis victory as potentially enabling inclusive dialogue and gradual reform within the Islamic constitutional structure, or as reinforcing the existing political religious system in a more restrictive direction? And then we have a question from Johnny Hield that we're told the internet, as we're told, was being cut, but this connection is wonderful. Will the regime seek to lock down the media environment and control the narrative, or will they allow Iranians' families to serve the World Wide Web? Lastly, do you like? No, yeah, we have lastly from Mr. Khalaf. Doesn't Iran's attack on its neighbors show a non-peaceful coexistence with its neighbors? And I'll stop here for your answers.
Yeah, thank you very much. With regards to the China, of course, Iranians are. China is generally speaking, China is in support to Iranian position, but in very Chinese way, very conservative way, still very conservative way. So they know that what is happening now against Iran has a lot of consequences for China with regards to the security of the energy supply to China, with regards even to having very much Chinese penetration or influence in the region, very much limited if regime change or any victory happens for Israelis and Americans against Iran. So China is observing very cautiously and very concernedly, with a lot of concern, what is happening on the ground, and is trying to support Iran. But still, China is very conservative, as I said. Iranians have never been surprised by such level of the conservatism. But at the same time, there has been a lot of discussion between Iran and China that with regards to geopolitical, particularly regional issues, China is very much interested to get much more involved. The most important intervention was the mediation, rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia that mediated by China. So it was a very important move by China that was very important also, a lot of important implication for the region as a whole. Always Iran and maybe some other countries in the region, they are encouraging China to get much more active in the region, to have a kind of more geopolitical balance. But you know that at the time of the Trump is very aggressive. So everyone is very much cautious not to be heated by him. So that's the nature of the game that the chaotic period of time that we are living in. With regards to the last question about the neighbors, I would say yes, there is a risk, a political risk of what is happening now in the Persian Gulf. Whilst there are a lot of connections between, as I said, even today I had been to some extent involved in some connection between some friends in Qatar and Oman and Tehran, and I have heard that there had been a very high level exchange between Saudi Arabia and Iran. But at the same time, as I said, it's not a favorable choice. It would be a very costly decision to be made, to have a regional retaliation to the war. But as I said, it is an existential war, and this is a very inevitable response that Iran has no other alternative to do that. So there would be a lot of political cost on that. But at the same time, I think any kind of I'm going to answer another question with together, that any challenges, any period of crisis may create a lot of opportunities for some shifts, some balance shift in not only in geopolitical power of the region, even in bilateral or multilateral relationship. So I'm very much hopeful that this war will create a platform for a regional cooperation, for having a very domestic security framework with very minimum intervention of the foreigners. That's something that has been always challenging for everyone in the region. I have been involved in several kind of the dialogues. Even in Doha Forum, Dr. Dagar, we met each other first time there. In Doha Forum, I was invited to several Chatham House rule based roundtables around the forum with regards to regional frameworks for security, new security architecture of the region, based on a kind of the multilateral cooperation. So it's something that has been very much missing. And I'm very much hopeful that after such kind of escalation, regional escalation, we will come to a kind of the common understanding that the security in the region should be a mutual or collective security. It won't be possible anymore to have some Switzerlands, some islands of the peace, prosperity in the region that at the same time the rest of the region will be burned out or will be occupied, colonized, invaded by others. So we are living in a region, and you know that it has been discussed a lot internationally in the time that Trump is very much against any kind of the globalization or multilateralism and is very much in favor of unilateralism. This is a kind of the regional multilateralism is an idea as an alternative that has been supported by a lot of important global players across the world. So in the West Asia, we need to come across such kind of the platform for security cooperation. And we need to have, as I said, to come to such kind of understanding that the security is a collective, I think, a collective outcome of cooperation, and it won't be possible anymore to have security for someone, non-security for others. With regards to the digital policy, as you mentioned, as I said, it's some rationale behind digital policies. Some policies are very controversial. So you know that it's not only Iran. Recently, we have seen a lot of policies has been made, or some laws that has been passed by parliaments or Congress about, for example, some concerns about digital behavior of the society. Something that we have observed, the huge controversies around TikTok in the US. And again, the same time, some controversies about how European rules are going to be imposed on the digital platforms that are originally US based. With regards to some countries like Iran, it's very difficult, very challenging, because we don't have as such big power as Europe, as 500 million market with a lot of soft power, a lot of regulatory tradition and background to impose our rules to some extent. Of course, Europeans are not satisfied with the US platforms, but Iran doesn't have such authority. At the same time, Iran is very much concerned about not only cybersecurity, about such kind of the illegal behavior amongst over the digital platform. But I won't reject that such kind of the very much overcautious policies in Iran. I have been in favor of a lot of more freedom, more openness to digital access in normal time. Of course, not in wartime or in very challenging period of time, crisis times. But in normal time, I am one that I have criticized a lot Iranian policies, and it's not a unified approach towards the digital policy, even amongst the governments. Now, the reformist governments led by President Pezeshkian is much more in favor of the freedom on digital platforms. But at the same time, something that may be interesting for you, that Iran has its own domestic platforms. We have Iranian Uber that has almost access to all Iranian are using those platforms. They are Snap and Tapsi Iranian Ubers. We have Iranian Amazon that's called Digicala that all Iranians are using it. We have Iranian YouTube that called Aparat. Most of the Iranians are using that. We have Iranian Netflix that called Filimo and Filmweb and a few one that are very much well respected by the Iranians and popular in Iran. In terms of the social media and messengers, also recently we have some Iranians that are to some extent popular. For example, in 2, 3 of them, I have heard that they have almost 14 million daily users. 14 million out of the 90 million Iranians. That almost 75% are using social networks. So that means 2/3 of the Iranian social networks users are using Iranian platforms rather than WhatsApp or Telegram. They are using Bale or Ita or Rubica. So in terms of the digital entrepreneurship, Iran is very much advanced, well advanced. And some from an digital economic point of view, Iranian government is trying to support Iranian domestic platforms rather than the international platforms, and not only because of the security concern, because of the economic prosperity and preserving economic market for domestic platforms. So it's too complicated, but generally speaking, is a lot of disagreement and controversies about digital policies in Europe.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sayed. It's already 90 minutes, and it passed very quickly. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you for all insights. I wish you and your family all peace and the entire region, the entire world. We are dreaming about a stable, prosperous peace for all humanity. One last comment for WANA chapter, please, WANA chapter, West Asia, North Africa chapter member, please answer the email that we sent me, Senia, and the Waipur presidency sent to you about the next conference of WANA chapter. Thank you again, Dr. Saeed, and maybe we will have another chance and another opportunity to have more of your wisdom and your insights. Thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, and hope to see you in much more peaceful period of time again very much soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care and be safe.